Gunnar was in town for business. It was the holiday season, and as happens that time of year, the gods and fate handed him an invite to a holiday party. Because that's what handsome single dudes get. Invitations to holiday parties. The invitation was for the following night, and that's an important detail, but he finished work early and called his friend Erica. Erica, say hello to everybody. That's Erica.
And she said, there's another party. It's happening 2 blocks from your hotel. You should go. So he did. It was the best decision Gunnar ever made in his entire life. He saw her across the room in a terrible bar. The same terrible bar that many of you will likely end up in tonight. Physically, and perhaps even metaphorically. He asked Erica, who is that? She smiled and announced proudly, that's Ingrid. She's my roommate.
And that night, Gunnar donned an abominable snowman mask, aka Yeti mask, made holiday merry, and did all he could to remain aloof while chatting her up. But he was completely enchanted by Ingrid, smitten. As the party wore down and people went back to wherever it is people go after they've witnessed a grown man falling in love like a wide-eyed high schooler, Gunnar went back to his hotel room and thought he would never see her again.
But then he looked at the invitation for the party the following night, the one he was originally intending to attend, and realized that Ingrid was throwing the party. Again, they talked all night. When he finally got her number, he put it into his phone this way, with this note. Quote, friend of Erica's, met in Austin, December 2009, will be my wife.
Ingrid came to the Ingrid and Gunnar party a little more slowly than Gunnar. She met what she describes as a sweet, brilliant, well-dressed man who, well, lived in D.C. and thought that she would never see again. Little did she know about his platinum status and willingness to travel across the country. A lot. So she flew to Sweden for Christmas a short while after they met. Remember, it was a holiday party and all. And spent many nights standing in the snow on Stockholm's street corners talking to this relative stranger about everything and nothing. That was what she describes as the moment for her when she realized that Gunnar cared enough to observe international time zones, huge cell phone bills, and her self-described neurotic rantings just because he wanted to hear her voice.
Since then, Ingrid and Gunnar kept in close contact. They practically traveled the world to keep close. They went to great efforts to keep in each other's company while living in different parts of the country. Then, Ingrid moved to Washington
and hated it. But Gunnar, being a man of rare chivalry, deeply in love with an unhappy Ingrid in D.C., and perhaps even deeper within her subtle powers of persuasion, moved to Austin. They settled down. They got a dog.
They built a life together.
So now they're getting freaking married. It's like justice really exists in the world or something. So that's their personal history. But they each have more history behind them than what they've personally crafted. Let's discuss.
Ingrid and Gunnar are very literary people and have a hard time taking anything seriously unless they have words on paper, hence these binders. So we're going to begin their deeper history testimonial with some readings.
We'll start with a favorite storyteller of Gunnar's. His name is Utah Phillips. And he views our history in a particularly beautiful way.
Time is an enormous, long river, and I'm standing in it, just as you are standing. My elders are the tributaries, and everything they thought, and every struggle they went through, and everything they gave their lives to, and every song they created, and every poem they laid down flows down to me. And if I take the time to ask, and if I take the time to see, and if I take the time to reach out, I can build that bridge between my world and theirs. I can reach down into that river and take out what I need to get through this world. So we want to welcome Ingrid and Gunner's tributaries, Nancy Hellickson, Owen Hellickson, Cynthia Swanson, and Lane Powell.
And their tributaries, Rita, Bill, Owen, Ann, and Ann with an E, JC, Bob, and June. The recognition of their tributaries, who labor to bring them to this place and time, is beyond important to them both. We proudly thank all their family for molding these two wonderful souls.
And those wonderful tributaries have led them to the here and now, where it is that we need to talk about the present, what Gunner and Ingrid are building today. I don't know how closely you were listening to the lyrics of the processional, but it starts, "This my excavation, and today is Qumran."
Qumran is the city in West Bank where the Dead Sea Scrolls were discovered. For Christianity, this was a profound opportunity for change. You could ignore these news stories and keep doing what you were doing, or you could acknowledge them and incorporate these scrolls into your spiritual life.
This marriage, today and now, going flawlessly, is a kind of Qumran for Ingrid and Gunner. This is the time and place for opportunity and change for each of them and the relationship that they cultivate together.
Of course, they've already made this commitment to each other and pray. We wouldn't be here otherwise. But today's special. Today's the day that they consecrate their relationship in front of all of you, the here and now.
It's a testimony. They're testifying that they've made a sacred commitment to each other. And they are all testifying, you are all testifying too, that you have seen their love and you're there and will be there in Ingrid and Gunner's tributaries forever.
You're here because this doesn't happen without you. And the importance of your part cannot be understated. So much so that this couple wants to pledge to each other in their own chosen way, in this public space, way out in the middle of nowhere, for you to hear.
They've both chosen their most treasured literary passages, which speak from their core about how they feel toward one another. We'll start with Gunner, who begins with a passage from his favorite novel, Winter's Tale, by Mark Helton.
Can everyone hear me? All right. Every city has its gates, which need not be of stone, nor need soldiers be upon them or watchers before them. At first, when cities were jewels in a dark and mysterious world, they tended to be round and had protective walls. To enter, one had to pass through gates, the reward for which was shelter from the overwhelming forests and seas, the merciless and taxing expanse of green, whites, and blues, wild and free, that stopped at the city walls. In time, the ramparts became higher and the gates more massive until they simply disappeared. Oh, that's really nice. That's so sweet. Now this seems anticlimactic. In time, the ramparts became higher and the gates more massive until they simply disappeared and were replaced by barriers, subtler than stone, that girded every city like a crown and held in its spirit. Some claim that the barriers do not exist and disparage them. Although they themselves can penetrate new walls with no effort, their spirits, which also they claim do not exist, cannot, and are left like orphans around the periphery. To enter a city intact, it is necessary to pass through one of the new gates. They are far more difficult to find than their solid predecessors, for they are tests, mechanisms, devices, and implementations of justice. There once was a map, now long gone, one of the ancient charts upon which colorful animals sleep and rage. Those who saw it said that its illuminations were figures and symbols of the gates. The east gate was of acceptance of responsibility, and the south gate, the desire to explore. The west gate, devotion to beauty, and the north gate, that of selfless love. But they were not believed. It was said that a city with entryways like this could not exist, because it would be too wonderful. Those who decided such things decided that whoever had seen the map had only imagined it, and the entire matter was forgotten, treated as if it were a dream, and ignored. This, of course, freed it to live forever. Ingrid, our relationship is like that city. We've been together, we've been learning the streets and the contours of our relationship. We know the broad avenues, the dead ends, the green spaces, because we've built this relationship, the city, together. It's beautiful. I'm so in love with you, and I'm so excited that today we get to share this beautiful city we made with our friends and family. We get to invite them in and see what we've built. I'm so proud of the city that we built. And you know how much I like Andre Dubus. So here in another passage, which I'll choose to read right now. Still I believe in love's possibility, its presence on the earth, as I believe I can approach the altar on any given day, which may be the last, and receive the touch that says, there is no death, but does say, in this instant I recognize with you that we must die. And I believe that I can do this in an ordinary kitchen with an ordinary woman and 5 eggs. Good thing I have an extraordinary woman. The woman sets the table, or I set the table. She watches me beat the eggs. I scramble them in a saucepan as my now dead friend taught me. They stand deeper and cook softer, he said. I take our plates, spoon eggs on them. We sit and eat. She and I, and the kitchen, have become extraordinary. We are not simply eating, we are pausing in the march to perform an act together. We are in love, and the meal offered and received is a sacrament which says, I know you will die, I am sharing food with you. It is all I can do. It is everything. As a husband and wife, we must have these sacraments. I want to share these sacraments with you every day for the rest of my life.
Follow that up.
I chose a poem by one of my favorite poets, Jack Gilbert. It's called The Great Fires. So this is how it goes. Love is apart from all things. Desire and excitement are nothing beside it. It is not the body that finds love. What leads us there is the body. What is not love provokes it. What is not love quenches it. Love lays hold of everything we know. The passions which are called love also change everything to a newness at first. Passion is clearly the path, but does not bring us to love. It opens the castle of our spirit, so we might find the love which is a mystery hidden there. Love is one of many great fires. Passion is a fire made of many woods, each of which gives off its own special odor, so we can know the many kinds that are not love. Passion is the paper and twigs that kindle the flames but cannot sustain them. Desire perishes because it tries to be loved. Love is eaten away by appetite. Love does not last, but it is different from the passions that do not last. Love lasts by not lasting. Isaiah said, each man walks in his own fire for his sins. Love allows us to walk in the sweet music of our particular heart. That's the end of the poem. You are that to me. You allow me to walk in the sweet music of my particular heart. And from now on, in the sweet music of our lives together.
So there you have it.
For the rest of your life.
Are you ready?
I, Gunnar Owen Talbot Hellickson, take you, Ingrid and Powell, to be my lawfully wedded wife, to have and to hold, to love and to cherish, from this day forward, for better for worse, for richer for poor, in sickness and in health, until death do us part. This is my solemn vow.
Ingrid, repeat after me. I, Ingrid, take you, Gunnar Owen Talbot Ellison,
Take you, Gunnar Owen Talbot Ellison,
to be my lawfully wedded husband,
to be my lawfully wedded husband,
to have and to hold,
have and to hold,
to love and to cherish,
to love and to cherish,
from this day forward,
from this day forward,
for better, for worse,
for better, for worse,
for richer, for poorer,
for richer, for poorer,
with sickness and with health, until death do us part.
until death do us.
This is my solemn vow.
This is my solemn vow.
You have declared your consent before your friends and family.
May their goodness strengthen your consent and fill you both with their blessings.
What they have joined, let no one tear asunder. Amen.
Presentation of the ring.
Oh, sure.
So, Ingrid, you take that one.
Just do it. Swap the ring. We've talked about the past with the couple's tributaries and the city they've built together. We've talked about the Qumran and the fires of love which light their present. We've all consecrated this marriage with our love for them. We'd now like to turn to the future and offer our blessings and hope for their future. Chris, if you would please, bring us a blessing.
I would. Some years ago, in all seriousness, I had the impulse to do something to help my community heal itself a little. The impulse was to build a labyrinth, a meditative walk in Brooklyn's Prospect Park. It was a good instinct, but it would never, ever have happened 3 years in a row, were it not for Gunnar's generosity, his willingness to encourage me, and repeatedly partner with me to make it happen. Ingrid recently told me it was exactly this generosity of Gunnar's that first got her attention that two-night occasion on which they met. So it seems only fitting that I should bless the two of you by building a labyrinth for you and around you here today, sanctifying this moment with the help of everyone gathered here so that it becomes a touchstone for your married life. So labyrinths are ubiquitous. The Swedish Hawaiian Friendship Society will be pleased to know you can find one as easily in Stockholm as you can on Maui. Unlike mazes, there's one path to the center of the labyrinth and back out again. You can look around and see the whole thing at all times. No dead ends, no false starts, no obstructions. Just sacred geometry there to help us untangle life's mysteries and attune to our deepest truths. So the path is walked in 3 phases: release, receive, and return. And by the way, your path to this union was walked the exact same way.
Give a blessing too, just in case. As alluded to in Chris's blessing, it is nearly impossible for me, as a mere man, to stand up here and pretend that I could possibly speak to a newly married couple in terms of blessings without invoking the relationship I have with my own wife. To be completely fair, without the emotional touchstone that is my wife, I would more or less live my life doing the best impression of what I thought an emotionally stable and thoughtful person would appear to look like. You want a blessing from that robot? Maybe. Could have been pretty cool. Well, we'll never know. But it would have been something along the lines of, I bless you two for all your future sneezes, or I bless you both with these gift certificates to this fine dining establishment I just heard about that people seem to like. And you probably get some coupons I printed off the internet, chilies, and they'd be expired. Which is to say, the words that are about to come out of my mouth were well informed by my beautiful wife, Ava. This blessing is born from both our brains. So a blessing. It's a strange and deeply honored thing to be asked to pen somebody a blessing. I've thought about this a lot recently. It's not a toast. It's not a eulogy for the living. It isn't advice or a warning or some kind of bad greeting card copy. So what is it? Put another way, if you were to trap me in a well for a week and demand that I define the word blessing before you lifted me out, my wet pants response would likely include words like higher power, spirituality, and please, dear God, I will put the lotion on its skin. But that would be a definition of duress. Or maybe I'm into it, I don't know. It's tough to tell you in that situation. But when given enough time to consider what a blessing really is, I firmly believe that someone of my background isn't going to be able to firmly point at all to the ethereal and be sincere. It's simply not how I structure my own life. It's certainly not my relationships. What I can do is recognize behaviors which already exist, which are concrete, and which I know I can count on from you both already, and then bless the continuance of that. The stuff I want to bless you for in the future are the very things you already possess. I just want you to nurture that stuff. And when I think of you both, the strongest word that pops into my head is pride. Pride in belief, pride in station, pride in loyalty, pride in creation, and pride in one another. It's pride. Through that pride, you amplify the best of each other's best attributes. Ingrid, when I met you, you were fiercely independent, full agency. Pride. We all sat around a campfire in Marfa and spilled our guts about the winding roads which had brought us to that exact moment in time. Your roads were by far the most self-drawn. In fact, I don't think you bothered with roads. For all I know, you might have bothered with vague direction or sun positioning or maybe magnetics. I'm not even sure that you cared about surfaces, considering the number of mountains you ended up on. And I won't pretend to know all the wondrous details, but I do know that you always followed your heart, your instincts, with full agency. You've lived your life, whether you're fully aware of it or not, as the practical master of your domain. And as kind and as gentle as you can be, you don't suffer fools for no good reason. And speaking of full agency, Gunnar, I'm a good judge of people's character. I have to be because I do it a lot. Practice makes perfect, and when we met, you held very little back. It meant a lot to me that you knew how amazing Ingrid is, and that you were willing to come here, and for lack of a better way to phrase it, prove yourself worthy. But you knew all along that it made sense. Your strong pride in knowing who you are and what you're looking for came through. It was undeniable. You knew you were going to have a high bar for anyone hoping to be with Ingrid, but you knew that if you were just yourself, you knew it would all come together as it should. And it did. You're one of the best people that I've ever met in my life. And I met a lot of people. I know people. And you should be very proud. So pride is the word that resonates with me in terms of a blessing for you both. But I did have a couple runners-up that I wanted to share with you, just to make sure I hit all the bases. May you both be blessed with the love of one another's future hair situations, or lack thereof. May you both be blessed with the understanding of one another's future bizarre hobbies, like LARPing, or writing another rock opera. May you both be blessed with the continued gift of curiosity as to which of you Rosie loves the most, which is me. But most of all, may you continue to be blessed with pride. Pride in where you've been, where you are, and where you are going, wherever that may be. Together, pride. Gunnar, you're an effing lion. You're a beast of a lion. The lion of a man who always knows precisely what matters to him. It's pride. It's pride, and I want to hear you roar right now. Give me a roar. Ingrid, you are a lioness. Fiercely strong and fearless lioness, and I want to hear you roar right now for everybody here. Just give me a little roar. That's the kind of fearlessness that I'm agency, right there. Pride. And it is from that pride, being lions and all, that we all wish the most bountiful blessings upon your future pride. Because your pride is the pride of all of our futures, tributaries, and the cities we all build along with you. We wish you pride.
And now we'd like to ask Ingrid and Gunner's parents to spend a few moments with their children.
Chris is going to read his phases first.
I wish you guys nights of pleasant dreams and happy mornings, lots of little babies running over Rosie, and lots of hugs and kisses. Congrats to one of my fave couples. I love you guys. Muchos. From Jen.
It's a good thought. We wish for you that being with one another will always feel like coming home. It's from Tim and Amanda.
My wish for you is that you continue to find in each other the person you want to do the work with, and its work. But in this, I think you are perfect for each other. You make everything beautiful. Leah.
This one is especially, I really like this one. It's short, but it's a really good one. I wish you spotless silverware and perfect secret kisses in the elevator. I did not write that.
May your lives be full of joy, children, and growth. Love you both, Mom.
I wish you a life of sunshine and joy, of happiness and love, and respect based on understanding.
Now that we have brought them through their past, up to the present, and have made clear our collective hopes for their futures, and having testified together on the sanctity of this union through all known time, we have come to the natural moment of joy that we all dressed up so nice for today.
Friends and family, this is the best part.
We present to you, newly consecrated and legally wed, Gunnar Hellickson
And Ingrid and Powell.